The commitment comes from within. But what is one thing that continues that journey for us is a social structure we create around us. So that's very important. That commitment, motivation comes within, but the consistency phase is created by our friends, our family, and our colleagues. So it's important we get engaged with that.
So I think that, so are you suggesting, because I'm gonna take two of your experiences and put them together. In one segment you talked about, hey, human spirit, if you really want to stay on a health journey, is about fun. And the second thing you said is like, hey, you know what, if you weave in and out in a year, it doesn't work. And you kind of showed it through the data of the health industry. So do you really believe, is and I this question is also, is anybody doing this out there? Do you really believe that there's a $1 trillion fitness industry to be built on the back of fun?
The answer is yes, we are moving into that direction. There are some leaders in health and fitness world that they have understood the correlation, the connection between activity and fun and body composition. Now, there is no magic bullet yet, right? People are working on that. We know there's a lot of medicines available now which help you reduce your body fat or lose weight, but we also finding out there's a lot of side effects. So as we find out more, because this is such a new thing, and I don't want to name those products, but as we know that there are a lot of side effects, and we are learning, the data is coming in now that we are finding. I have a lot of gastroenterologists in my family. They are doctors, and they are seeing more and more cases of gastrointestinal problems with those kind of weight loss medications. So data is coming in, and we know that in long term, that may not be the long term solution for us. So to answer your question, that yes, there are a couple of players in this industry that they are started to look at fitness as a fun, and they are adding those amenities in their destinations, in their facilities, that bringing in people for those particular reasons, not just doing the high intensity interval training or lift weights or run 20 miles an hour, which are not a fun kind of activities, because it cause injuries and also a great deal of stress in your body. So what we want to do is we want to encourage folks that who cannot afford to join a club, who cannot afford to join a facility, that they can still find those fun activities which are free of cost, and they can enjoy with their friends, family member, or colleagues, and have same kind of results what they will find in a paid fitness facility. Why we like to go and pay for the fitness facility is two reasons in my point of view. Number one, when you're paying for something, you have created a commitment, right? There's an investment there. There's a financial investment. And the second reason is that when you see like-minded people doing the same kind of stuff around you, more than likely you are going to engage in that activity. So, in my point of view, if you want to join or if you can afford to join a facility, do it, and do it for financial reason, because it's going to make you more committed. You're gonna utilize it because you're paying $100 or $150 a month, or you are seeing the like-minded people around you, and you watch them, and that give you motivation and encouragement that if they can do it, I can do the same.
No, that's fantastic. Is that also the reason why European squash courts also have bars in them?
I think that's after the exercise, right? That's a sustenance. That's nutrition. They call it. And another important thing I think I forgot to mention, that lots of facility now are engaging kids at a very early age in their programs, and they have created a very holistic kind of approach where they are saying that okay, the kids of any ages can come in and work out and get engaged with in early age, because those are the future members. Think about that,
Ah,
right? Those are the future members, and that's the reason um, the industry I was in, or the company I was working for, they used to provide a free childcare for up to 2 hours a day. And the reason why they did that, that you will have no excuse. You can't say that, well, I have kids, I have to take care of them. You can bring them along. They can be in the child care. They can enjoy the workouts and the facility and the camaraderie of other kids while you go and take a class or you work out. And by the way, those people, those little kids are the members of future. They're going to join because they don't know anything else. They think about yourself. If your parents brought you to a squash club at the age 5 and you watched them play and eventually you started playing, you're not going to go anywhere else. When you grow up, you're going to become the member of that facility. So that's a very interesting piece of advice as well, that if you are going to go work out in a facility, take your kids with you.
so which brings me to the next question is, in that context of health journeys and why people fail, is do you think that kids who grow up in families who have a culture of sports, etc., early on, and they're exposed to that, versus kids who grow up in, let's say, business families where time is, again, I don't want to blame anybody here, right? I'm not trying to castigate a human being for all the priorities in their life which are competing with other goals in their life, but there are families who have paucity of time because they're super engaged in other facets of life, right? That the kids from that type of family will find it harder later on to actually go on a health journey.
So there's a lot of studies available on that how that mindset is developed. And that's all about creating a good habit. And that starts with following your parents or a role model. It could be your uncle, it could be your father, mother, or brother or sister. Anyone you are nearby, you're close to, if they are engaged in healthy lifestyle, more than likely you are going to adapt it much more easier than coming from a family which has a sanitary lifestyle and they are not too conscientious of what activities they perform or how their nutritional habits are. So those are two important things to remember: activities and nutritional, because they go hand in hand if you're looking for a good quality of life. Now we all know that
Right.
none of us is going to live forever. That's not the goal. The goal is that if we're going to live 80, 90, 100 years old, that how is the quality of life? And that begins from providing that environment for your children, that they see you setting a good example for them. If you can set a good example for them by being involved in activity, either joining a facility, if financially you are able to do that, then do so, because it starts at very early age. I can give you my personal example that I started because I saw people around me staying very active. My father took me to the tennis club almost every afternoon. I was there at the tennis courts watching people play, watching people play squash or swimming. So that became natural. So obviously, my circle of influence, the friends I had around me, was also involved in those activities. So that encouraged me that, hey, instead of playing video games or just sitting in front of a TV, we need to be involved in a physical activity. But not everyone has those opportunities. Let's face it, right? We live in a time where we are very much stressed by environment created around us. The husband and wife both are working. When they come home, they're tired. They don't have time to go and play pickleball or play tennis or join a facility. So how do we form those healthy habits? And that comes from creating a self discipline. And I know that one of the things you're going to ask me is what are the motivation of, and how do we create a self discipline? So we'll wait for that question.
Right. The other thing is, I think I think a lot of the comments you're making, and I was hearing them, right? I call them as superpowers, right? So I call superpowers as consistency, discipline, control, uh, and, and all these types of words, right? Which are typically at the bane of human existence, right? Every human being goes on the altar of that hill and gets sacrificed himself or herself on these superpowers, right? Meaning they never get it done, right? So, like, you're making a comment like busy lives and all that, right? So do human beings have that opportunity to really think about slowing down, or they will not?
The answer is yes and no. It all depends on an individual, that what motivations they have, what environments they come from, what their upbringing is, which is most important. Um, as human grow and we evolve, I think we are finding more and more the how important it is to make sure that our bodies stay active. We are seeing lots and lots of diseases which are results of inactivity. So more data, more education is available, more we are inclined to or open to accepting that our journey, either it's weight loss or just creating an activity, must be part of our daily lives. There is no question about that. Because if we don't make it, then the quality of life will struggle and we will not be able to enjoy the things we like to. A lot of people like to travel when they retire, and they save their money and save their time for that enjoyment, so they can take a good trip once or twice a year. And if you're not in a good health, if your quality of life is struggling, you are not going to be able to enjoy that. Other thing is that you want to see your kids either graduate from college or get married or celebrate their wins in their life. But if your quality of life is not there, you're not going to be part of that joy, because you will be struggling to be part of anything fun that's going to hold you back. Either you are hospitalized or you are on medication. And I have seen that from very close experiences, that lack of activity can cause a major stress in the household, financial and emotional.
Yeah. So I mean, that's so apt, and that is so right. I mean, we think about activity as a accounting exercise of calorie in and calorie out, and creating those deficits, or lose a few pounds, or BMI this or that. But I think activity manifests in human existence in ways which are very abstract as well. I mean, it's just is the reach of that particular thing, right? The movement of human being is so important in so many dimensions of life, right?
The science has
Yes.
taught us that there are chemicals in our brain which controls our mood, our happiness, right? And dopamine, endorphins, you have heard about those, right? So it's important
Yeah.
to understand that how do you create those chemicals naturally in your body? And one of the way to do is when you exercise and that exercise is resulting in a joy, it's going to create a natural dose of endorphins and dopamine in your body. And that's what's going to get you addicted to that. So you need to find that spot, you need to find that bridge that takes you from one side to another. One side is that you're stressed, you're not enjoying it, it's painful, it hurts, right? And other side is the joy, the happiness, and the sense of achievement it brings you. So you need to cross that bridge. Once you cross that bridge, I think you will never go back on the other side. But for most people, it's not that easy. And why? Because that bridge cannot be crossed until we are consistent on that journey. Sometimes people turn around before they can see that happy point, right? That joy point, and they turn back around because it's too difficult. They are disappointed in their goals or their journey. So my advice will be, just don't quit. Just do it every day. That's called self
Right.
discipline, right?